He never spoke a word, not one. Yet somehow, he heard everything. Their anger, their pain, their dreams. While the world ignored the quiet intern with the sketch pad, Elijah was quietly changing lives, one drawing at a time. In a place where broken kids came to hide, he helped them be seen. With no voice, he taught them how to find theirs. This is not just a story about a deaf mute. It's a story about the power of listening, the strength in silence, and the beauty of being understood without a single word spoken. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that every voice matters, even the silent ones. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that heal, inspire, and awaken the soul. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is listen. Nobody noticed the first time Elijah stepped into the old community center. He walked gently, always with a slight smile and a sketch pad. He was just the new assistant to the children in the after-school art program. To the staff, he was an intern who wouldn't last a month. He never spoke, not a sound. And no one knew what to do with someone like that. He was a deaf mute, born that way. The world had labeled him before he even had the chance to define himself. His mother used to say, "Elijah hears with his soul and speaks through his hands." And it was true. Elijah had learned to sign, draw, express every emotion, story, and lesson, without ever saying a single word. But in a world that often values noise over nuance, people didn't listen to silence. The community center was in a small inner-city neighborhood. The kids who came there every day were survivors of their battles, poverty, broken homes, peer pressure, and dreams constantly deferred. Many came with tough exteriors and wounded hearts. And Elijah? He came with crayons, paintbrushes, and eyes that saw what most others missed. For the first few weeks, no one engaged him. The staff smiled politely, gave him small tasks, and quickly moved on. The children stared awkwardly or avoided him, except for one 12-year-old Malik. Malik was a firecracker, loud, impulsive, always in trouble. He hated rules, didn't trust adults, and had already been suspended from 2 schools that year. But Malik had an artist's soul buried under all that pain. He just didn't know it yet. One rainy afternoon when the power went out and the noise of the world dimmed to a gentle hush, Malik found Elijah in the art room. No lights, just the dim gray glow from the windows. Elijah was drawing something on his sketch pad, slow, careful strokes. "What you drawing?" Malik asked, half expecting to be ignored. Elijah looked up, smiled, and turned the sketch pad around. It was a portrait of Malik, not the scowling, rebellious Malik everyone saw, but a different Malik, eyes full of curiosity, lips curled into a quiet grin, surrounded by bright colors and light. "That ain't me," Malik mumbled. Elijah shook his head and tapped his chest gently, then pointed at Malik, then pointed at the drawing. His eyes said what his mouth couldn't. "This is who you are." That was the moment something shifted. From that day forward, Malik became Elijah's shadow. He didn't care that Elijah couldn't talk. He understood him anyway. Elijah began teaching him how to draw, how to paint, how to tell stories through color and lines. He showed Malik how to sign simple words, how to observe people deeply, how to listen, not just with ears but with the heart. The other kids began noticing too. Elijah would draw them quietly, capturing the parts they tried to hide. A girl who never smiled saw herself laughing in one of his sketches. A boy who always fought with others found a picture of himself reaching out in kindness. People started seeing themselves differently because Elijah saw them differently. But not everyone was supportive. One of the older staff members, Mrs. Carter, didn't like how things were changing. "This is an after-school program, not an art therapy session," she muttered one evening to the director. "The boy can't even speak. What example is he setting? These kids need discipline, not crayons." Word spread that Elijah's position was under review. Maybe he wasn't qualified enough. Malik overheard it, and for the first time in his life, he stood up for someone else. He stormed into the director's office the next morning, a bundle of drawings in his hand. "You can't fire him. You don't even know what he does for us." "Look," he shouted, slamming the papers down. The director, startled, began flipping through the drawings. They were portraits of the children, smiling, connecting, growing. One by one, they showed transformation. Hope. Malik's voice cracked. He taught me how to say sorry without talking. He taught me how to be kind. He made me see I could be more. Nobody else did that. The director didn't respond right away. She stared at one particular drawing, a picture of her, drawn by Elijah, with her hand placed on her heart and a tear on her cheek. That evening, a meeting was called. The whole community center gathered. Staff, parents, kids, and Elijah standing quietly in the back. The director stepped forward. We started this center to help children grow, to help them believe in themselves, to teach them to lead with empathy. We forgot that sometimes the best teachers don't use words at all. She turned to Elijah and signed slowly. Thank you for reminding us how to listen. Tears welled in his eyes. From that day forward, Elijah was no longer just the quiet intern. He became the soul of the center. He started an art and expression program called The Voice Within, a safe space where children could express everything they couldn't say. Malik helped him run it. Together, they turned the old art room into a sanctuary of creativity. Each day after school, children poured in, greeted not by whistles or commands, but by colors and quiet encouragement. Malik managed the setup. He laid out supplies, guided newcomers, and made everyone feel seen. Elijah, meanwhile, moved gently from table to table, sketching alongside the kids, guiding their hands with his, sometimes just sitting silently next to them until they felt ready to create. They offered themed days like Color Your Mood Mondays and Tell a Story Thursdays, where kids expressed feelings through collage or painted scenes from their lives. And something extraordinary happened. Kids who once picked fights now paint side by side. The girl who never spoke above a whisper now led group discussions about her art. Parents began visiting just to watch. Even the most skeptical staff members started volunteering. Elijah and Malik had created more than a program. They'd sparked a movement of empathy, creativity, and healing. And in every brushstroke, every silent high five, every shared glance of understanding, they reminded the world, you don't need a voice to be heard. You just need someone willing to listen. Years later, Malik would speak at an educational conference. He was a tall, confident young man now, studying to be an art therapist. On the stage, in front of hundreds, he told the story of a man who never spoke, yet taught him how to find his voice. Elijah heard everything, he said, voice steady and full. He heard my anger, my confusion, my dreams, without sound. He listened like no one else ever had. He showed me that being seen, really seen, can heal a person. Sometimes the loudest impact comes from the quietest people. The room stood in ovation. Moral of the story, true listening goes beyond sound. Some of the most powerful voices come from those who have been silenced or misunderstood. It takes courage to see others for who they truly are, and even more courage to believe in them when the world does not. When we take time to slow down, to observe, to feel, like Elijah did, we begin to hear what truly matters, the voice within.